Buddy, good morning. Welcome to Mindful Reality channel that covers reality TV and life from a mental health perspective. As y'all know, there's no format to these lives that I started doing at this time. I just get on here and speak about whatever is on my mind. There's a couple things that come to mind. I typically always have an original thing, and then I have a thing that just pops in my head right when I start the live, and that's what happened just now. I had my topic that I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I pressed the live button and thought about something else. Maybe it's like goodness, ADHD. Possibly. Probably. High Diversity and High Ma. So, the screen isn't black, it's just dark outside. But I guess you don't make it to many of these lives. Let's see. Yeah, what I was thinking about actually was CT. Now, there's been a lot going on with CT's relationship, well, his former relationship now, and I've posted about it, what I've seen about it on my challenge Facebook page. So I know that last year CT was going through a very messy divorce from his wife. And she had a lot of stipulations for this divorce. Basically, she was just in the paperwork, which was all online. It was showing that she was claiming that he was very well off financially and has made several businesses and spent a lot of time away from the family and from his son. And this thing was getting dragged publicly. And around that time, I think he had an Instagram for a while, but he wasn't using it that much. And then during that time when he was struggling getting through everything he was going through with that, he started using his Instagram as a place to express himself in terms of what he was going through mentally. And he's famous. That's a problem. I mean, yeah, you can use your Instagram as a place to get your feelings out and to talk about things that are going on in your personal life. But even I don't do that anymore. I used to do that. I used to use Instagram or Facebook or social media platforms as a place to be like, this happened to me and I'm in my feelings about it, or I'm angry about this thing, or I had this breakup. Like, I used to be that person who you could find all those details on my social media, until I realized there would be people on there to literally just look at whatever you have going on. They don't care. I'm not saying none of them care, but a very small percentage of them care. And those people who do really care are probably going to hit your phone and be like, maybe you shouldn't put all this online. Maybe you need to call somebody and talk it out offline. Because people are on here just to see all your messy business going on. Doctor's appointment in the morning. Tooth chipped. Sorry about that. Hi, Brian. Okay. Hi, Rosa. That was quick. Hi and bye. Rosa with the quickest high and buy in history. You are the winner for that. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I realized like people will just, if you're having a mental breakdown online, people will be happy to just read everything. So at that time I was looking at it and I was thinking to myself, I mean, I don't know if he has a therapist. I think one time he mentioned talking to a therapist, but I think those things are best served offline, especially when you have some kind of fame. Unless you're going to, unless you have a way of expressing yourself in a constructive way that maintains your privacy, it does not really benefit you to crash out in front of the fans. So the reason why I'm saying that is because now he's going through something with the person who he dated for a little bit after his wife, and she is an OnlyFans model, and they were together and they had a joint TikTok page and they were posting TikToks together, and they even did a sex tape together that they put on her OnlyFans. People paid for it. And then one day, a few weeks ago, he posted up a long video, like maybe a 7-minute video of these text messages between her and different guys that he screen recorded. Basically, like, I discovered what you're doing type of thing. And then apparently, I mean, they must have had some kind of discussion about it, and he got back on and said everything that I put up there is false and a lie, and I just didn't understand the OnlyFans business and how the OnlyFans business works. And then he's had a series of posts over the last couple of weeks going back and forth about he's always gonna love her and this and that and the other, and she'll never forgive him, or whatever ups and downs and lefts and rights that he's having. It's all been going online, and I've seen people saying under his posts like, hey bro, maybe you need to take a break from social media for a little bit and get it together. And he's defiantly being like, this is my life, you know, this is my life, and I deal with my life the way that I want. I can put anything I want on my Instagram page. And I'm like, yeah, you can. It is your life. You can deal with your life any way that you want to deal with your life. Like, it's a free country. You can post anything you want. But I'm all for doing things that make my life less difficult, and something that makes my life less difficult is not putting all my business on the internet. Okay. I'm looking at this comment that Ma deleted. I'm alone in my room. I hope this is not leading somewhere, Rosa, but we'll see. That made me lose my train of thought. Okay. Yeah, I like to do things that make my life less difficult, and that's one of them. I don't think I've told this story, which is rare, because I've told a lot of things on this page. But around the time when I first moved to New York, I was dating somebody here. I met somebody here. We were dating, and she was a big update everything on Facebook person. And this was before the days where I had a smartphone. I don't know if smartphones existed at that time, but if they did, it was not a household item that everybody had. So I say that to say, when I went on Facebook the majority of the time, it was through my computer. I could access my Facebook through my phone. I could log in, but it was so exceptionally slow. The most that I could really do is just update my status. So I really didn't use Facebook on my phone that much. I basically just waited until I got home. And from there, I would just check my computer once every few days. Anyways, she would update my phone. So I remember we went out one time. She took some picture of us. And then she put the picture on Facebook and then updated the status. This is when they first started allowing you to update Facebook status. So it was like in a relationship. And there was only a few people knew that we were in a relationship. And I much preferred to inform people like in person versus, hey, internet, we're together. Especially because it was brand new. It was a brand new relationship at the time. We had only been together for a couple of weeks, and to me that's really early to be doing that. But anyways, neither here nor there. I was like, this is a person that I want to be with. So I just let that one go. But then every time we went out somewhere, take pictures, you take pictures. Oh, now we're here. Now we're at dinner. Now we're at this concert. Now we're at this party. Now we're here. Now we're there. And I really didn't like that. But again, you know, I just let it be because I was just like, this is someone I plan to be with for a long time. So I just accept that. But the thing is, it now became like a very public thing and very public business. I'm not even saying not to even say that the person is with you, but it's just like, I'm not one of those let's post up every second of what we're doing and make this all the community relationship, because it's not relevant to most people. It just matters to you and that person. I think sometimes it's best that way. So I say all that to say that she never officially broke up with me, like told me, I am broken up with you. We had a fight. The fight was based upon, I would pick her up from work every day. She didn't have a car, and I would pick her up from work and I would take her home every day, or every work day that she had. And this day was 4th of July. We had these 4th of July plans to go see the fireworks. It was like a fireworks show that they have every year. And I think the fireworks ran, the time doesn't matter. Let's say the fireworks were from 8 to 9 or something like that. So we already planned out that day. I was going to pick her up from work. She finished work about 7 o'clock. She said she was going to try to get out of work at like 6:30 or so. So I came over there. I was ready at 6:30, but I knew that it wasn't a guarantee she was going to finish at 6:30. But she said she would try to finish up at 6:30. But anyways, what was going to happen was I was going to pick her up, go back to her house with her. She was going to get ready really quick, and then we were going to go out to see this fireworks show. Sorry about that, y'all. I am still tired. So I went to her place of employment. I texted her, hey, I'm ready. She didn't respond. It was like 6:30. Called her a couple times. She didn't respond. So I said, okay, maybe she's still wrapping up at work. Now we reached 7 o'clock, which is the time that she normally finishes. So I'm like, is everything okay? Like, is everything fine? You know, how's it going? We need to get to this fireworks show. So, in order for us to be able to do that, and I paid for tickets for it too. So I'm like, in order for us to do that, you know, we got to leave pretty soon. Like, give me an update. If there was something going on that was not going to allow for her to make it there, I get it. But she wasn't saying anything. So I was getting frustrated. So what ended up happening was messaging her. Finally, I said, okay, well, I don't know what's going on with you. You haven't responded to anything. This is about an hour and change that I was there. It's like, you haven't responded to anything. You haven't given me an update. You haven't let me know what's going on. So I'm going to just head over there and go to the fireworks show by myself. And I did. I went over to the show, and then I took a picture at the show. I was like, put the picture on Facebook. And then because of that, she broke up with me. And she didn't break up with me as in tell me I am broken up with you. This was the first time, aside from that long distance relationship I was in that I had spoken about before, this is the first time in real life, because I don't even consider that long distance thing in high school as a real relationship, but the first time in life I learned about being ghosted. And I don't even know if ghosted was the term back then, but it was. By definition, I mean, it was exactly what we consider ghosting nowadays. She just simply stopped speaking to me, deleted me off of all social media, all that stuff. But the reason I'm saying all of that, the way that it ties in to what I was saying, is that before I knew that we were broken up, the internet knew. How did the internet know before me? Because that's when Facebook just started doing that thing where you can put your relationship status, and then not just put your relationship status. If you and somebody break up, you can go in there and adjust it, and it shows that you're broken up. So she went in there, and then it says relationship with Mark ended on such and such and such a day. And I didn't see that for about 2 to 3 days because I didn't used to check Facebook every day. I finally saw it because one of my friends gave me a call and was like, hey, Mark, is everything all right? You know, you want to talk about it? What happened? You guys look so happy. And I was like, what is he talking about? And then I head over to, I go on my computer and I see it, and it says, person ended on it. I'm still a pretty private. And now I'm seeing this thing with 78 likes and 150 comments about my relationship ending, and I didn't even know that it had ended until I saw it on Facebook. It updated my status to say that. And it's like, the craziest part is that she and I are both tagged on the status. So whatever comments are on there are her friends and my friends. Anything that I put on there, she'll see it, and anything she puts on there, I'll see it. So after that, I was like, this is the last that this page is going to be used for these purposes. I'll tell anyone that. We will give those details offline, in an offline setting. He can't be at peace. AM on Mark's live. Be like, Ah, yes, making it Facebook official. Dad loves Facebook attention. I'm giving you attention. What are y'all doing up? I don't know. It's what are y'all doing up? I'm always up at this time. I mean, I like quality time in my relationships with people, but I'm super uncomfortable with bringing attention to things where people acknowledge me. And the thing is, people can use that against you. I'm not even a celebrity. I could only imagine like celebrity relationships because now everything about yourself and that other person is under the microscope. I think the healthiest relationships for some of these celebrities are the ones that people know the least about. And it's hard when two people, uh, maybe it's a stretch for me to call CT a celebrity, but it's hard to when two people are popular social media influencers and they get together because now they're each these big separate entities, and there's people who are literally be just on this internet with the goal of breaking them apart. And then you could get a comment from a fan or something, or fans could be tagging you in a certain thing, and then you look at that thing, and then you become unsure of your partner because it's been talked about, but the fans are bringing to your attention, and things can just go and escalate from there. And next thing you know, you are on the outs because of interference and making things too public. I think in his case, I mean, honestly, it's just an opinion. Like, who am I to say this? But just in my opinion, I think he would be best served with somebody who's not really any kind of famous, just average Jane in the sense of not the person that you can look up and find out all this different stuff about them from the internet. Like, for instance, Wes Bergman, from all the years that I followed him on Patreon, seems to have a very healthy relationship with his wife. I mean, everyone knows his wife. He has his wife on his social media, but at the same time, his wife is not a reality TV star. His wife is not like any kind of a real famous person. His wife is a person who she has a good job. She works. She takes care of her child. They've recently had a child, and but she's very low key is my point. Not that you have to be with somebody low key, but I think that being with somebody low key benefits a high profile person like that. Reality After Dark. That's actually a good name. Except it's a good name, but I don't feel like I give that much tea. I don't even think I get that much tea for this channel to be called Mindful Reality. It was actually just going to be called Mindful Reality with reality spelled the regular way. It just was not available. That's the only reason why. I'm going to be on here for another 10. This is the 10 to 15 minute warning. That's cruel to find out via social media. It was because before I even had a chance to react myself, my friends and family were reacting. And that made the breakup 10 times harder. And then she wouldn't talk to me on top of that. We never had a conversation about it. We did have a conversation about it eventually. Oh, but this is a long story. Well, this is Reality After Dark, so I can give you I can give you the end of this story. I went over to her house eventually after she was not picking up the phone and she was not answering messages, text messages, emails, Facebook messages. I actually went over to her place because I used to be at her house almost every day. When I say her house, I mean the house that her she lived in with her mother and her sister and her brother. They all lived in the house together, and I went over there, ringing on the doorbell, ringing on the doorbell. I guess I was crashing out, as they would say these days. I guess I was crashing. It was just so hard not to receive any kind of official, like, we're over and here's why. Or even if you're not going to say here's why, you're going to at least tell me that we're over. Her mother answered the door. She was like, go home. I said, I don't want to go home. I'm not trying to stay at your house, but I don't want to go home unless I get an answer or unless she tells me to my face that we're broken up. And her mother was like, but she hasn't told me that. So I respect the fact that you're telling me and you're telling me go home and all that, and I will go home. It's not like I'm gonna stay after she tells me that, but I just have to hear it out of her own mouth. So the mother, she stepped outside of the house. She was like, okay, so I'm just going to just relay to you what she has said to me. She said that you were jealous and possessive. Um, she would go through my phone. She would always have to know every detail about everything that I did, everywhere that I was going. Like I was flabbergasted actually hearing this stuff that her mother was saying to me. So I said to her mother, so I was like, you and I have a rapport, right? She was like, yes, we do. And I was like, and I'm over here several hours a day, almost every day. I was even sleeping at that house. That's how close I was to her family, not just to her sister, to her brother, and to her mother. The mother actually trusted me to be in there and stay there 3, 4 nights a week sometimes, which my mother thought was weird. Like you're staying over at this, you're a grown person staying at this other person's mother's house and sleeping in her room and stuff, right? So I said, you've seen me a lot and you've spoken to me a lot and you've been around me a lot. Do you think that those things are actually true? She says, no. She actually said to me, no, I don't think that those things are true. But she said, whether my daughter is with you or whether my daughter is with this person, this one, that one, um, she's gonna be my daughter regardless, basically. So I'm gonna support her. And she said, you're such a nice guy, and I just hope for the best for you. I want to see you, or not necessarily I want to see you, but I hope that you find a person who's right for you, and that's it. Like, don't come back. So even though I didn't get that answer from her, I had to just take that answer because she literally refused to come outside. And I wasn't going to be the crazy person that keeps showing up at her house. I showed up one time and I rang the doorbell and knocked on the door for like 20 minutes. And that's what the mother told me. And I ended up leaving. So the story is not done. That's the reason why I say it's tea. So after that, it took me about 3 to try to put myself back together when that ended. And trust me, if you haven't experienced it, it's harder to feel like something is over when a person doesn't officially declare it as over. There's 3 times in my life that's actually happened, unfortunately. But 4, maybe I think there's actually 4 different times that happened in my life. This one might have been the worst because things were good the day before, and we were in like a very close relationship. And all of a sudden, it just didn't exist. So fast forward, I get a call from her 3 months later. I was like, hello? She's the one who answers the phone. I'm like, why are you calling me? Because at that stage, I wasn't trying to hear from her. Like, you put me through the ringer here. And I want to talk to you about, the way things ended. And I was like, I'm not really interested in this conversation. But I still entertained the conversation, which I shouldn't have. But she was like, okay, it wasn't just about you going to the show. It was like you were trying to rub it in my face. You put it on Facebook, this and that. And she said, I have trust issues, blah, blah, blah. She made this whole thing around it. But all of this was to say, she was like, she was like, I'm sorry for not talking to you about it. And I want to rebuild a friendship. I was like, I don't know about all that friendship stuff. But she said to me, let's meet up. So we met up, we spoke in person. After we had that conversation, she then tells me that she got a new job. And she was like, I have this new job. I'm working at the bank now. The pay is good, this and that and the other. It's an upgrade. I said, congratulations. And she was like, I just started the job though, and it's really expensive. The bus doesn't take me right to the place. It takes me a very roundabout way to the place. And I wanted to know if you would give me rides. And I was thinking to myself, against my better judgment, I was thinking to myself, she probably hit me up just because she wanted to get those rides and felt like Mark would be the one that would actually provide me these rides. So, man, I said 10-minute warning, but I got into this story. Okay. So at first I was like, no way. There's no possible way. Then she was like, okay, I'll pay you. I'll give you gas money. Eventually, I said, okay. Against my better judgment, I went. I started giving her rides to this job, to and from this job. And then through that, we started speaking more again. And then those feelings resurfaced. The feelings that I had for her before resurfaced. And I asked her, I said, is there any possibility of us starting again? She said to me, yes, there is a possibility of us starting again. She was like, I just need time to see that you're not this person that you were when we broke up. And we have to build that back up because it's been a number of months since we were together. And so I was like, okay. I was kind of still giving her those rides off of the notion of like, okay, we're gonna get back together. So this is not really a freebie. Like if I was in a relationship, giving her those rides wasn't a problem when we were together, but I'm not gonna consistently give her these rides. With just for no reason, basically. So one day I had given her probably a month or two of these rides. And not just rides to work at that point. We would meet up, we would go other places, we'd hang out. And I ended up deciding to have a conversation with her one night. Called her up and I said, "You know what? I get the feeling that you are just using me for my car." She was like, "No, absolutely, I'm not using you for your car." And I said, "Okay, but you told me it's going to take some time and you were considering getting back together with me and all of that." And she was like, "No, I mean, we're just good friends." And I was like, "Whoa, what do you mean we're just good friends?" Because we weren't even good friends at that point. That's something she might have been able to say maybe before we got together when we just started out as friends, but at that stage with what we had been through, we were not even at a stage of being good friends, which, in retrospect, in hindsight, this is when I was 24. um I wouldn't have even tried to skip that step and just jump from nothing and she makes me angry to like, let's get back in a relationship. I would have been like, I have to trust you. I have to believe that you're a different person than you were when you did those things to me and you ghosted me, etc. But yeah, she was like, "No, I never told you that we were going to get back in a relationship." And I was furious at that point. So she said, like, "This is not going to affect my ride with you tomorrow, is it?" I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's going to affect the ride permanently, not just tomorrow." And she was like, "But I was prepared. I didn't have any plan B on how to get to my job. And it's so early and I don't have the money for a taxi. Payday isn't yet, it hasn't happened yet." And I'm kind of like, that's a you problem. I don't care. So she said, I can't believe you would do this to me. Like, if I had a car and you needed that, I would do that for you. Like, I would never leave you out like that." And I was like, first of all, I believe you would. And second of all, again, like, that's a you problem. So she says to me, "Okay, can you take me this one last time and I will give you money for that on payday and then I won't ask you again. I promise you. This is the last one just because I don't have a backup plan on how to get to work." So I'm like, "No, no, no." She keeps asking, asking, asking. She calls me in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, because I was giving her these rides at about 6:30 in the morning. Eventually, I got myself up and I was like, "Fine, this is the last ride." One of those things that I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I had stayed on that no. And yeah, I got up that morning. I was so furious, and she got in my car. I got to her house. She got in my car. She was like, "Oh, good morning. I knew you would come. Thank you so much for coming." And I was just like, I said some things to her. I'd rather have just not picked her up in the car, but I said some things to her that were not nice. It is what it is. I was angry, and I was so angry. And they say that driving angry can be as bad as driving drunk. And that was my experience with that. So I'm talking to her in the car and telling her all the same things I was telling her on the phone. I'm like, "You used me, you lied to me, you gaslighted me, you were just doing things just to get into this car and get these free rides that you've been getting from me for the most part. And you said things to me that weren't true, like you had no intention of getting with me. And then in the first place, you said things to your mom and your family about me that weren't true. Then you ghosted me. You put this breakup online and made it public and had me go through this thing where everybody knew about my breakup with you before I knew about it because you never had the balls to actually even tell me that you want to break up with me and whatever. So I was just going through everything. Like I was going through it and I was just telling her everything that I felt over the last 6 months. And then I was on the highway. I was speeding because I was like, I just want her out of this car as soon as possible. I wish I hadn't picked her up. There's nobody much on the road because it was early in the morning. And then I was just letting her have it in the car. And then I got to this turn and I think my phone rang or something. It was ringing. I looked down at it for a second and then my car was going into the other lane. I tried to straighten the car out. It started spinning on the highway. And next thing you know, I don't even know what happened because it happened so quick. But I was on the other end. I was on the other side of the guardrail on the highway. And I remember like my whole side of the car was all smashed in. Her side was fine. She just opened up the door like it was fine. And then these two guys came from behind us and parked up their car, on the side, on the shoulder of the highway, and came and assisted to pull me out of the car. Like my head hit the window. It's like it was gushing blood, blood was getting in my eyes and um I didn't even know what happened, but the guys behind me were like, we didn't know if we were going to pull a dead body out of this car because they told me they were behind me when it happened. They saw the car spinning and then it became airborne and the back tire hit the guardrail. The car spun around and landed on the other side of the guardrail facing the other way, but it landed like kind of, it could have flipped, anything could happen. So it was very fortunate that I got out with relatively minor injuries. Like it wasn't much that happened to me except this cut and um I think like I hit my knee, but it was things that were not major. Like I didn't need surgery. It was just a matter of rest. I might have done some physical therapy. That was about it. But I remember when the ambulance came, uh, they were like, are y'all good? She was like, yeah, I'm good. I wasn't good. So they wanted to make sure that they checked me out. And they said, how many is coming in the ambulance? I honestly didn't know whether she was going to come in the ambulance or not, but she did. They said, oh, who are you to him? She says, I'm his girlfriend. It's like a lifetime special, this part of it. She said, I'm his girlfriend. And I was like, what did I just hear her say? So she got in there with me. She rode the ambulance with me to the hospital. We get to the hospital. They take me out. They have me on the bed. They roll me into the triage. And this hospital is like it's a terrible hospital. So they had me sitting in this triage. They had me sitting in the triage for a while, waiting for a bed, because what happened was they basically see you based on the priority of your injury or whatever is happening with you. So because they saw that it wasn't some immediate thing, that I needed some kind of surgery or life-saving procedure or whatever, I was just going to sit there indefinitely. And I remember I was just there and there and there, and I was by myself. And I remember being like, if nobody's gonna see me, I'm gonna go. Like I could have just not come here and then just gone to my doctor. They're like, oh no, you can't leave. I'm like, yes, I can. So I got up because I wanted to find out where she is, because we came in there together, but I had been in the triage for a number of hours and hadn't seen or heard anything from her. I didn't have my phone on me or anything like that. She had all my stuff. She had my phone. She had like my watch, my necklace. I had like a few things on me, my wallet, and she had that stuff. So I got up and I was like, okay, let me go see if she's in the waiting area. They're like, you can't leave. You can't leave the triage, sir. I was like, yeah, watch me. I literally unstrapped myself off the bed and got myself up and went to the ER waiting area. I walk over there. She's sitting there with a guy holding hands. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The minute she saw me there, she let go of the guy's hand really quick. And I got out there and I was like, who in the blankety blank is this? Loud. And then I was like, you, I'm not even going to get into what I said. Maybe one day on a members video, I'll tell you what I said. But I was livid and I was in disbelief. So I was just like, give me my stuff right now. So she gave me my wallet, my watch, and whatever else that she was holding on to. And I was like, I never want to see you again. And so there's a couple things that happened. I didn't have a car anymore and I didn't have insurance. The reason I didn't have insurance is because my dad told me that he was paying for my insurance. And he was only paying for collision insurance. So that only covered, it didn't cover the car, which I don't even know how he managed to get an insurance for that because it was a financed car. So here I was paying for a car still with my finance payments that I couldn't drive because it was totaled. Then I had this drama where I now had to look at my life with so much regret because I was like, this person that I should have left alone in the first place was able to ruin my life 2 different times. And one of them was emotionally. The first time was worse from an emotional standpoint, but this one was bad because now I because of her, really, my property, my car, I didn't have a vehicle anymore. I would have still had that vehicle had I not been giving her those rides. Now, the thing about it is, sometimes you learn the best lessons from from those painful situations. I look back at it today and I'm like, man, Mark, how could you have put yourself in that spot? Like, but at the same time, there's a reason why I haven't been in that kind of thing since then. And it's because I know better. Hi D, good morning. Ma was actually just saying she misses you. Let's see. Yeah, that was someone. It was a hard lesson. I've had a few of those, but the hard lessons are sometimes your best lessons and your best teachers, and that was for sure one of mine. And how that ties in to what I was saying about the CT thing is, since that time, I have not been one of those people to use my social media platform simply to express my feelings. And like, if I really need to get things out, I'll talk to my friends, my family. If it's that bad, I will discuss with a therapist. Oh, that's okay, D. I'll discuss as a therapist or something. But um, yeah, my business is not for the streets. And if I were one of that, and then sometimes they're like, people are weird and cringe for making comments on these posts that they put up. And I'm like, but one could say that you're weird or cringe for putting those things up and then expecting the public not to eat that up, because some people live off of that stuff. Like, I'm so glad to know about every detail that's going on in CT's relationship and what's happening with his mental health, and if he's having a breakdown. Like, these things are honestly standard things that happen to people in life, but everyone loves to see when they're happening to celebrities, because people love messy celebrity drama. Anyways, y'all, that's the end of my story here. I'm tired, so I'm about to go to bed. Thanks for joining me for, what did you call it, Charicity? Mindful reality, or mindful reality after dark, something like that. That was funny. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified when I drop some more great content. Thank you.